And action, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Gounie Podcast. And in this episode, it gives me great honor and pleasure to welcome one of the most accomplished swimmers on the planet, 4-time world champion, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, Sharon Van Rouwendaal. Welcome to the Gounie Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Now, Sharon, we start off every episode by asking the same question, and this one is going to be an interesting answer from you. Living here in Gounie, the locals are called Goonies, hence the Gounie Podcast. And you've been here for maybe 24 hours? If you hear the word Gounie, if you were a local Gounie resident and they called you a Gounie, what do you think that would mean?
I would live on a sort of island.
Yeah.
That's what they call me, like a closed village, sort of. That's what I think Gounie means, but I don't know.
It's interesting. Every time we ask someone, we get a completely different answer.
I never watched the podcast, so I don't know the answer on it, the good answer.
Well, hopefully you'll get to watching this episode of the Gounie Podcast for sure. Yeah. Most accomplished long ocean swimmer in the world. The only human on this planet to have won 2 Olympic gold medals in the 10-kilometer swim, open water. But you didn't start out as an open swimmer. You started out as short distances, and Netherlands is famous for their short distance swimmer. And according to my research, your flip to long distances happened around somewhere between 2012 and 2014. How did it happen? What made Sharon's mind say, you know what, I'm done with these swimming pools and I'm heading out to the open water?
So I started off winning junior Europeans by swimming 1500 free or 800 free long distance. Then I swapped everything to do backstroke because I was very, very good in backstroke. And then at that point I was training in the Netherlands, which is a sprint country. Yeah. And so the option they gave me was more to do shorter distances, like 200 backstroke, which is very hard.
It's a non-stop race.
Very painful race. And so it's tough. And that went well. But I always had this coach in France who would text me, and he said, like, he was the coach of Laure Manodou and Federica Pellegrini. And he would text me, you're a 400 meter swimmer. You're a freestyle swimmer. Come with me. And so after that, my Olympics in the backstroke in 2012 didn't go very well. I waited a year to see, and then in 2013 I made the change to France. And this coach said, let's try freestyle. And that's where it all started, to do 400 free again, 800 free, 1500 free. And eventually we just tried open water, and 2 races later I won the Europeans, and 2 years later I won the Olympics. So yeah, and at some point I was just a very good distance swimmer. My endurance is very good, but even my sprint is very good. So I got the whole package.
Wow, incredible. 2016, Rio, first gold, 10 kilometers, then Tokyo, silver, and then 2024 in Paris, another gold. And you became the only human on the planet to win 2 gold medals in the 10 kilometer. I mean, how did that feel? I mean, that must feel special. You know, to say I'm the only human on the planet to have achieved something. That's incredible.
Yeah, it is, because then at some point they called me the GOAT of open water because I'm the only one with 3 medals. And I knew going into Paris, I could be the only one with 3 medals. But to, sort of reclaim the gold after Tokyo, where I found the water very hot in Tokyo, and that's my... Like, I think that's where it went wrong. It's very hard for me to swim in hot water. But Paris was, again, colder water, and I really love when it's like that. Yeah, and to top it off with another gold, I mean, there's only been women with only 1 medal for now, and I have 3 with 2 golds. So
flex.
It's like, no, it's like a dream come true. Like I never thought in Rio that 8 years later you win again. You'd think maybe you win in Tokyo, or you try and do everything in Tokyo, but you would tell me in Rio 2016 you're gonna win in 8 years. I never thought I could do that.
Yeah. And speaking of the quality of and the temperatures of the water, there was a lot of controversy about the quality of the water in Paris in the Seine. Was it really that bad? I mean,
no, every Olympics, there's something that they have to be negative about. I mean, the media, they love to be negative at some...
Of course.
They have to write about something, right? Yeah. So Rio was also not clean and it wouldn't take place. It did, and it was clean. Tokyo, well, was the Corona time, so I don't know what they said about that. It would not happen, probably. Tokyo Olympics would not have happened. It happened a year later. And Paris was the water. Okay, it didn't test clean the year before, and it didn't test clean 2 days before. But the day I trained in it, the day before my race, it was very, very clean. And I could even see where I was going. So I could see my hand in the water, which for me is a big, like a thing, because last year in Fukuoka, I swim in black water and there were jellyfish, but you don't see them. But not the jellyfish who sting, but yeah, you feel stuff all the time, but you don't see them, right? For me in Paris, I saw everywhere I was going. I saw the feet in front of me. If somebody's swimming in front of me, I saw the feet, and for me, that was a big change. I was like, what is everybody talking about? I mean, I even drank the water because I was so thirsty. So I never got sick.
Amazing.
And so it was all just a little bit blah, blah, blah.
So it was more of the media sort of attention, clickbait
so.
sort of news.
And I think during the year, of course, the water is not clean all the time, but they made this system that maybe made it cleaner on the days we had to race. Yeah.
Excellent. And it wasn't an easy race. You were behind for most of it until at some point, I think it was under the bridge of the Pointe des Invalides. What I read was that the currents were very strong in that area. And your direct rival at the time, I think she was the Australian swimmer, that's where you kind of managed to surpass her, and only to win a 10-kilometer race by just over 5 seconds of a margin. In your mind, that process of passing her and then making it all the way to the finish line, tell us about that, please.
5-second win in open water is still a lot, because lately we win on a sprint on 1/10 or something. We wait on the sprint and then it's just a touch that decides who's winning. So I think the last two world champs, when I won in 2022 and 4, it was on 1/10. But I timed it. So 5 seconds was a lot. But I knew after it was 6 laps of 1,666 meters, if I'm correct. And she is living with me, and it's my best friend.
Oh, I did not know that. That's amazing.
So she trains in Germany. We both train in Germany at the time. And she just arrived a year, and I said, well, come in my house, and we built a great friendship. And I think, well, I helped her get strong mentally. And I know we never discussed our race plan, but I know, okay, she likes to be in front and try and pace. And I like to pace as well. So I did lap 2 and 3 in front, and then she took automatically over, and then we just swam away. And I was like, you want to pace? You pace. I'm waiting. It's like cycling. So if I'm behind, it's easier. So what you saw, you think, oh, it's how can she pass her? But for me, it was controlled, and I sort of knew I was going to win. Just had to stay focused in what I was doing. Trust on what I practiced the day before I practiced the current. So I would swim again to the finish. Oh no, this is too hard. Let's swim to the finish on the side of the sand. This is better. Okay, let's swim. So I practice it. Let's swim behind the pillar of the bridge. Oh, there's no current. Interesting. But you have to, when you jump over, you have to jump over at the good moment, because there's a lot of current going into the pillar.
Of course.
So you have to jump over carefully. So I jumped over a few times in the race. And then one of the lap 5, I didn't do it. And then she did it, and she didn't do it properly. And so the last lap, I did it again, where I get, well, not an advantage, but I just take my line, and that's where I pass her. But normally in open water, I could have chose to pass her closely, but it breaks each other. Like you swim slower,
The wakes affect each other?
Yeah, the
like
waves, the pressure together affect each other. And then I was like, well, I want her to get the silver and the Italian is behind us and I don't want her to pass us. So how can I pass her without involving her position? So I passed there, and normally it's almost fighting when you pass each other or you're stopping and swimming next to each other. And now it was such a fair race. Like I pass her there, she aligns and she gets second. And so everything was controlled. I must say, when I knew I was checking lap 3, I knew okay, one of the favorites is at 42 seconds. They will never catch us again with the pace we had. They would never because they have to swim faster than us. And Moesha, the Australian, can pace. And I can sprint and pace. But I just did the sprint at the end and I had the most energy, I think,
And that took you to your second Olympic gold medal.
Yeah, it wasn't that easy because I was very stressed before with the purpose. I want to swim good for my dog.
And I had came out
vomit.
of the water and you kissed your arm and you captured the entire world with a beautiful image as you dedicated that gold medal to Rio, your Pomeranian that had sadly, left us. So I know this must not be an easy topic to talk about, but this was the purpose of your swim, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I lost him in May. I'm not going to go into too much details, but I had the feeling, I won everything in my life and my parents are important, but my dog is like my child. And so I didn't want to swim. I was like, I don't care about these stupid Olympics. What I care about, I want my dog, And at some point I was like, I'm already doing this after I got him. It's been 7.5 years I'm doing this and I'm away for a long time. I think he wanted me to finish the job and that I'm not away for nothing all the 7.5 years that he was alive. Because and then I'm on training camp and I'm in a different country. Then he's staying with my parents and so then I decide, but I can't go swimming without seeing him. Or now I took off the necklace. I went swimming in the sea, but I was like, I need something. And so at the cremation, we could print his paw on a paper, and that's what we did. And I thought, okay, I never wanted a tattoo, but if I take a tattoo, it would be that something is very special to me. And so, I think a few days later I took the tattoo, but I wasn't ready to swim. I took the tattoo also so that I have him on me. And if one day I would swim good, I could point. But I didn't know. I thought, it would be a dream to do that at the Olympics. If I want to swim at some point, I didn't even know I want to swim at the Olympics. And then I think 2 weeks after the cremation or 2.5 weeks after cremation, I had a competition, a World Cup, which I didn't want to do, but I did it. I swam once a week that week. I didn't train a lot. And I was leading, and on 1 second I got 4th. And I was like, okay, so I got 4th on 1 second and I didn't train.
Imagine if I
I trained. And this was June already. So then I start training. Go to my high altitude camp. And I just start with the basics. I stand up, I try and eat again because I lost 3 kilos of the stress, of the pain. So it meant everything to me. I had always pressure here. I had pain in my hips. So I couldn't really walk properly or just of the stress. And so then I start to listen to the radio. Some guys joking in the morning. Every morning at 6, they start the radio program in the Netherlands. So I start focusing on what can get me through it. And then the swimming was okay. The swimming was good. Just need to be stable because I was 2-time world champion in February. So if I'm that person, I can win. I don't have to be better than Doha. If I just get to that, I think I can win. And that's the process. And I try, if I cry, it's for him, but I don't cry anything else in life. And so you go to the Olympics you carry the weight, and you don't feel it until you race the day. and I vomited 2 times my breakfast out because I am always stressed, but this is the most stressed I've ever been. And I never vomit before. Normally I would vomit after the race, it comes out. But before is my rule not to do it because you need the energy, you need the food.
Yeah.
But somehow, so then I took off the necklace with his ashes in it, and I start to cry a lot. So I feel the pressure I put on myself before the race, because I was like, you're so stupid. You put so much pressure, you don't have food, and now you can't swim before the race. That's why, and now you screwed it for him, and then I put the necklace down.
Do you feel those tears maybe released some of or a lot of that pressure?
Yeah, then I was like, shit, I had so much. Now I feel what I put away. You know, you focus on these Olympics, you put away the pain.
Yeah.
And when I took it off, I felt every pain of every, like the last month. Yeah. And so then I walk up and I see my sisters on the stands with some friends, and I'm like, okay. And when I go into the water, it's a different Sharon. I never thought about my breakfast ever again during the race. Like, even the doctors say, actually, technically, it's impossible to swim at 10 kilometers without food.
Wow.
But I took like last minute sort of gel, maybe some caffeine, I don't know. And during the race, every lap, I carefully drink my bottle. And that's why I got thirsty. I was dehydrated.
Yeah. Big due to the vomiting, of course.
And then at lap 4, I was like, I need to drink this water. So I drank the sand, and during the race one time I think of you, I'm gonna do it for you again, you know. So I think at some point there was this angel with me, or the determination was so big. I never felt pain. There was only one option, and is to win for him. So there was no doubt in the race that I was not going to do it. Wow. If you don't think about the rest and only focus on winning, then you could win. And that's what I did. And every detail was right. Every choice I made was perfect. And at the end, I swim away for 5 seconds, which is a huge... If you look at it, it's like the last 200 meters. And then 5 seconds is huge. Wow. So, and then I come out of the water. And first, I'm super happy. And I always said I would point. But first I come out of the water, I'm like, I already know if I'm going to point that I'm going to cry so hard, right? So first I'm happy. And then I walk and I point. And then you hear me cry very loudly. You hear the pain. But this moment was captured and a lot of interviews on it. But it's not easy to talk about, because if you ask me now, change all your Olympic medals to have your dog back, I would say, here you have my Olympic medals and give me my dog back. So it's like dog people know what this means. You have people who don't understand, but for me it was a little bit my baby, because it's a lonely world as a swimmer. I'm in another country. I have contact with my parents, don't see my friends a lot. I don't have a relationship or anything. So he was the closest thing to being my best friend. And or your child or whatever. And that you lose that. And then you're like, why am I doing it? Because he's my sunshine. And it's nice to have the medals. But so I wanted to... this was only that I showed for him how important he was. And then people start messaging me. I think I have 2,000 private messages with people. Thank you so much. My dog died. And they sent their picture of their dog. Wow. And then you made me cry. And I think there was this account had 1.5 million likes for Rio with my interview. And like 30,000 messages, comments, but all positive. So for now, I didn't read anything negative. Of course, I understand. Countries are at war and people are losing family every day. But he was also sort of my family, so it's a different kind of pain. But for now it was all positive support.
Well, you did it for him. You did it in his name, and you accomplished something that no other human on this planet has. So I'm sure Rio is up there in doggy heaven, smiling and jumping around and super happy with what you've accomplished.
Yeah, and I truly believe if you like it showed it if you believe in something or you have to do something, and you only give one option is to do it, then you can do it. I mean, on paper, I vomit before my race. I had one of the worst preparations with stress in May and June. I trained good, could have even trained better. So on paper, I wasn't the favorite at all, or I wasn't capable of winning. But in your head, there's only... So if you believe, like the champions believe in themselves, well, that's what makes the difference, I think. And for me, it was like, well, I'm not swimming for myself, I'm swimming for him. So the determination was huge.
Absolutely. I mean, elite sportsmanship mentality. I think that's where you placed yourself.
Yeah.
Speaking of elite sportsmanship mentality, next, LA, yes, no, have we decided? Maybe. It's up there.
So this is also, I already said it's my last Olympics because now I did 4. So I started when I was 17, 18 as backstroke. Then I did 10K and 400 free in Rio. Yep. I did 200 backstroke again and 10K in Tokyo. It was to be earlier in Tokyo. So the pool swimming is the first week and the open water swimming is the second week. And with the corona, they had this rule. So I was like, why not qualify in backstroke, you know? And now I did 10K, got my gold. There's not more I can achieve. Yeah, I'm 31. Like I said, I never had a real private life, and there's so much more to life. And my parents had some health problems, and now I bought a house in the same street where they live. I left when I was 13. I come back when I'm 31. So you start to notice what's important in life. You miss 17, 18 years of, I have a great career. I mean, I have a great life, winning everything. But now I want the normal life. So I'm deciding in January if I would continue for a year or not. But for now, I'm enjoying giving clinics, giving presentations, doing podcasts, going to different countries, but not to only see the competition, but also to meet people. So totally different life, and to be home finally with my parents, which I miss a lot in the last years. It's a sacrifice you make when you start at 13 and you want to win medals. So I want to be normal.
Amazing.
You know, and now I don't look at the time in the evening. Normally it's all on the clock. And now at 12 or at 10, you say, if I want to watch a movie, it's okay.
If I want a slice of cake, it's fine.
But no, my diet was huge.
Yeah,
I had to eat
massive
so
caloric
much.
intake, probably. Yeah.
And so I'm happy that I don't have to eat that much. But it's all these things like, if I want to watch a movie, I can't, you know, there's no, that I have to sleep in a certain, there's no, every day was like.
You were in a full professional.
But I still have it because now I'm like, after this, I'm going to do some fitness or something. You know, I still have a little, in my head, as little structure, but not with times. Tonight I have to sleep at this and this, you know. So it's totally different, but it's, I feel I can live, like I can breathe.
Amazing, and I'm very happy that you're reaching that stage of from being absolutely exceptional in what you do to kind of seeking, wait a minute, I need a little bit of normality in my life.
Yeah.
And moving on and evolving to that next phase of giving clinics and master classes and maybe even teaching, how does that something that excites you to move into a phase where, guys, all this incredible experience that nobody else in the world has, now it's time for me to share it? How does that make you feel?
Yeah, it's really special because I started it last year with one triathlete, and I just said, well, you do this and this and then your hip will go up. And he felt it and he was so happy. And to see the face of a person who feels what I'm telling them. So on the master classes, I also do some drafting. That means like somebody's in front and somebody a little bit lower on my side. And they're like, oh, this is amazing. I never knew it was this hard to like with the cycling in front. And it's the same with the swimming.
Like the split streams. And
exactly like that. And they're like, and to watch the people come out of the water that they like it so much, that's what makes me happy. And then I want to do this more often. This is so nice. And every time with different people, I don't think I want to be a coach who coached me, for example, every time the same group, the international, 17 years with with the same people, or 10 years with. No, I think I like it that it's this way. Every time a different country, every time new people. But I also coaching online, so making training sessions online for people all over the world. Wow. Well, I have eight people now who trust me, and we make voice messages. How was your session? What did you feel? They send me videos, and then I say, okay, this is because swimming is very technique-wise, and then I say, well, your fingers or your arm is like this, you need to relax more. So I tell them how to improve technique-wise as well, and then they improve their time at some point. Yeah.
Incredible. And you've joined us here in Gounie for that specific reason, for the Ocean Man swim here in El Gounie. It's not your first time in the Red Sea, but I am curious, from the world's best open water swimmers' point of view, how good are the waters that we have out here for international ocean swimming events?
Nah, it's fantastic. Some people always ask me, what's your favorite spot? I never can answer where I've been, what's my favorite. But the Red Sea, yeah, the water is so clear.
Perfect temperature.
I wasn't in El Gounie yet, and I'm like, why haven't I been here yet? This little island that they made, and then the hotels around it. It's like, I was like, why didn't I see this before? So I'm very happy also that Ocean Man has a race here. I'm trying to promote it a little more. Maybe next year it will be bigger. And now we're gonna start the camp. So tomorrow we start in the morning, and I am the coach, and then people who would subscribe themselves to participate, they can have a training camp with me, and in the afternoon they can do tourist stuff, and then they have the race on Friday and Saturday. And so then I can help, I can help with the sighting. So in open water, we look up with our heads. How do you do that? How do you turn a buoy? The drafting and stuff like that. And then they can put it into practice on Friday or Saturday in the race.
Wow, that's absolutely incredible. I think just when you're saying that, I'm just imagining maybe next year, a bunch of many top-notch international swimmers coming and enjoying our waters and the views and all the beautiful life that we have out here on the Red Sea.
Yeah, so my goal is want to create Sharon Van Rouwendaal Swim Academy at some point, and who knows that El Gounie wants to have me here sometime, 2 weeks a year to do the swim camps here.
Of course we would.
I'm trying.
Of course we would. The best open water swimmer in the world. Yeah. Amazing. 4-time world champion, 2-time Olympic gold medalist. Sharon, thank you so much for joining us on the El Gounie podcast. It was an honor and a pleasure chatting with you, and we hope to see more amazing things from you in the
thank
future.
You, and you're really good with the questions. You know so much. You did a lot of research, but thank you for this. Yeah.
Thank you, and for joining us once again, and to better and bigger things in your life.
Yeah,
Thanks
maybe
again,
next
Sharon.
year again.
Yes, yalla, come back.
Yeah.
That's it with Sharon. We're done and cut.
Yeah, no, very
Perfect.
good. And